Hey buddy, Thomas here, and today we're going to be talking about my buddy Mr.Robert's LS tractor. This is the XR4145. This tractor is comparable to my Massey Ferguson 2705E or say a John Deere 4 Series type tractor and everything. I'm going to talk about things I like about this tractor, some of the really interesting safety features, and kind of how this compares to other tractors that I've seen, stuff like that. There's a lot of neat features on here I really enjoy. And this is a fancy tractor. This is definitely fancier than my Massey Ferguson. But also I like the simplicity of my Massey Ferguson. But again, there are some things on this tractor I really do enjoy and everything. And I want to talk about kind of what this thing has to offer. So first things first, looking size-wise, it's comparable in size. The only exception is these front tires are much larger on here than what's on my Massey Ferguson or what's on a John Deere, say the 44 R series or something like that. This is a very large front end, so that is something I do like. There's a lot of tire there, but it'll give you a little more, room to plant on the ground, but also I think it gives you a little more height clearance on the front end of the tractor, as well as maybe a little bit on traction too. So we'll see. These are larger tires, and this tractor does handle very well when turning. I'm surprised at how easy the steering is on this tractor, just from maneuvering around. This is a 2017 model. Before the 2017 model, I don't know exactly what year, LS, which is a South Korean company, used to run a Subaru diesel. This is one of the ones where they actually run their own LS engine. And if you need to know where the engine plate is, it's down in the oil pan on the side right there. So you can see kind of what that looks like. That oil pan has like a U shape in it, and that's where the shaft goes to engage your front axle. So there's like a rod that goes through there. It's the exact same kind of engagement as what's on my Massey Ferguson. On a John Deere, I think they have like a switch that you can press or something like that on the fancier models. But the way that this engages in four-wheel drive, I'm a big fan of that. It's very simple. There's really no electronics involved, and it's just really easy to do. Very much like my Massey Ferguson, the fueling is down low here. On previous tractors that my dad and I have owned, the fueling's up on top. It's absolutely kind of a pain because you have to put a 5-gallon can up there if you don't have a pump or something like that, and you'll be getting fuel everywhere, and you're going to have to put it on the hood, this, that, and the other. Having the can down low is really nice. Now this one doesn't quite have as much protection, so it's just plastic around. There's a metal plate on the bottom, but there's nothing there on the front side. And the other day on my Massey Ferguson, I actually got to a situation where I got pinned up with a branch, like right here. And I will say, and I'm pretty sure this is the same kind of material, whatever, the HP, whatever plastic material, that I had my tank kind of bending around everything, but I was able to get through without breaking anything. But I do think that the cost or the benefits outweigh the cost or anything. Having this down here low is really easy to access, put your fuel on, or fuel in, excuse me. This one does not have a screen filter, so you're just putting directly into it. On my Massey Ferguson, there is a screen filter there that does help to catch any kind of debris. But again, I like the tractor being, or the fuel tank being low. This one has a very nice step, but I will say it is a bit small. As you can see, I mean, I do have a size 16 foot, but my foot, getting 2 feet up on there is not really a possibility. But again, you really shouldn't be standing on there with 2 feet. You should, walk up like you would a ladder. The height to step up that is a pretty steep. I mean, that is pretty high up. But again, you don't want something really low there because that's something that's going to catch. The attachment that they have here for the front end loader, I like this. Yeah, so this is a beefy attachment. As you can see, you have this large mounting plate down there. I see at least 6 bolts that bolt to the frame there. And then you have this lower support section right here that runs to the back. So I like how that is really secured on there. And as you can see, that's 1.25 inch thick steel there. That's pretty freaking beefy on the side here. A very good construction. I will say I have used this tractor for almost 2 weeks now. Handling logs, moving around heavy equipment. There is no give, flex, sway, anything. This is a stout front end loader. So that is something I do like a little more than what's on my Massey Ferguson. My Massey Ferguson has a plate that's like this. It goes straight down to like a round tube, and it's got 4 bolts on it. It has no movement on me for anything, but I like how this just appears to be beefier, and you know, really the tractor doesn't have enough weight or lifting capacity in the front to hurt itself with that. I mean, you'd be really hard pressed, but that is a really good design there. It's a very solid design. They have the shielding on the exhaust there. That's pretty cool, so you don't burn yourself. They do have the steering here in front of the axle. Not really a big deal. I know Kubota does the same thing. They run in the front. The John Deere and the Massey, they run it behind that. I could see if you had a really high stump, and if you really were blind and didn't see that, and you got a stump in there, that could be an issue. But at the same time, if you somehow manage to get a stump between, so if you're backing up and returning and got a stump in behind here, you could have the same kind of situation. I will say you're a little more prone though to having it there on the front side. But again, if you're bush hogging through a field, one of the things I always do is I keep my bucket or my forks lower than what the actual axle is going to be and everything, to make sure I'm not going to hit anything big. It's just something I've learned over the years, because you never know what you're going to find in a field that you've never bush hogged before. That's just a little trick here. The hood is interesting. So it's kind of a weird thing. So you've got the cockpit here, you got this plastic piece here, and this is set up where you could also run a cab. That's why you have this little connection thing here. There could be a cab on this tractor. Then you have like this metal plate portion right here, which is kind of like a weird spacer, but again, that's where the cab would kind of go, and there's room for the hood to open. So it's kind of a weird, almost 3-part design. So you have the plastic interior, you have this transition piece in between, and then you have the metal hood up here. And then on the front, you have this goofy alien looking face for the lights. It does have high beams and low beams and everything. It is pretty nice. To open the hood, you have a simple push button right here. I say simple, but well, I can't get it right now. Let me come around this side. There we go. And just like on my tractor, Robert's done the same thing. This brush guard, if you ever do push things with it or hit things with it, it will kind of make contact with your hood and rub a little bit. That's all good. So the hood is metal, except for this portion right here. This is, excuse me, that portion right there is plastic, and then on the front here is plastic. As you see, he does have a piece that's broken off. It's an interesting front end looking tractor, but I don't really care about that too much. I mean, it's functional. On this tractor here, it does have a diesel particulate filter. If you don't know what a diesel particulate filter is right there, it's that right there. It's the exhaust. So what it does is over time, it'll build up soot in there, and this is a tractor has to go through a regen cycle. My Massey does not have this. The Kubotas, the John Deeres, they all have it and everything. I'm not a big fan of them because there is heat generated in there, and when you have heat generated in here, as it cooks off the soot, when it goes through the regen cycle, it's dousing it with fuel, it's heating up, all sorts of stuff like that. It starts to dry out some of your other things around the engine. We've had an issue like that on my buddy's John Deere tractor before. It'd go through a regen cycle, and over time he had to replace a few hoses and stuff in there because of all this extra added heat. But again, doesn't really affect the performance. It'll go through a regen cycle, it'll tell you on the dash and everything. You can still continue using the tractor. You just need to make sure you're going through those regen cycles so you don't get all the soot build up. So I'm going to pause for a second, let this train go by so you can continue to hear me, and then we're going to talk about other great things around this tractor that I'm really impressed about. Stay tuned. Okay, I think the tractor's made, or the train's made it far enough down the road. Again, this tractor here, this is the 45 horsepower variant of the XR. I believe they have there's a couple different variants that they have. So this is the 4145. They have like a 50, they have like, I believe a 40, the 45, and they may even have like one a little bit bigger. And they're all the same tractor with a different tuning package on it. I know there's some people that have talked about on some of the forums, can you get, say, the 40 or the 45 and then reprogram it, flash it to be the 50 or 60, whatever that may be. And there's some forums and stuff about that, but to tell you the truth, this tractor, now I've got the Massey Ferguson 2705E. It's a 48, 49 horsepower, so essentially it's classified as a 50 horsepower. This tractor is very much comparable. The lifting capacity is about the same. Everything on this tractor is about the same. So really, once you start getting in that 40 to 60 horsepower range, there's not a lot of difference on the maneuvering and handling the tractor. The only thing that's different is your PTO. The horsepower at your PTO is really the only difference. So, you know, I would be totally fine if I had this tractor, if I didn't have my Massey and everything. Even though this is quote unquote 5 horsepower less, I don't think it would affect me in any shape or form over what I have currently. And talking about the hydraulics and everything, this is a fancier tractor than my 2705E, the Massey Ferguson, or say like an E series John Deere. This actually, so on mine, the front end loader, I've got my controls and everything right here, so I have to reach my hand up and use these controls. For this front end loader, the controls are right here, literally, and we're going to show you when we get on the tractor and everything. You can literally have your arm on this armrest, and just with the flick of your wrist and everything, move around everything. It's very smooth operating controls. I really like that. They've got the quick disconnects right here, kind of tucked away. I like how they have these tucked away. One of the things I'm not too fond of though is how they have the control block right here. So this is where you get all your inputs and everything. And I like how they have the connections on here. It's very simple. You've got these little pins that go through with the little keeper clips on there. Real easy to adjust, make any kind of repairs if needed and stuff like that. But having this control block right here and having these hydraulic lines down low, if you're using this tractor, say like a bulldozer, like a lot of us would use our tractors and everything, you have to be very careful and very cognizant of what's going on down here. If you got a root up on here and crimped or pinched off one of these lines, you've lost your front end loader until you can get that replaced. Now these do look like very easy to replace if you had to. So it looks like you can get, you know, just tell a part number, say, hey, I need the lower, you know, control, whatever like that. These are pre-bent tubes and everything, and it should be pretty easy to replace if you ever had to. But again, I would like to see if that was protected a little bit better, or tucked away in such a way where you wouldn't get into that situation. But again, in order to get into that situation, you really couldn't take something from the front. You'd have to be like, okay, if you're backing into something, and that's what we often do using the box blade, you might get like, you back in, you turn the wheels over, you might get a stump or something, or a big stick or something stuck in here, and then you could be a situation where you had to like, okay, how can I get it out of here? Really what you should do, if you can, is stop the tractor, use a chainsaw, cut it off, and then move it out by hand if you can. But you know, sometimes we're stupid, we power through things and then we regret it later. Walking around the tractor, so we're going to stay on the outside first and then work to the inside. The rims on this, both forward and rear, are solid. There is no water, mud migration from one side to the other. They're solid construction rims. I actually like that, because on mine, if you get, I like it and I don't like it. So it's kind of a 50-50. It's really easy to keep that clean. On mine, you have like these openings, the gaps and everything, and if you are trying to clean it and you're spraying from one side, well, the next time you start driving, you might get mud from the other side to come back through, and it just kind of looks funny. These right here, the solid rims, I'm actually okay with that, and it's probably a little bit stronger, but neither here nor there. That's a little thing. Getting around the back side of this tractor, I really like this. When you are operating the tractor, and say you're putting on a 3-point type of equipment or something like that on your 3-point hitch, you have this up and down lever right here. You can take your hydraulics that you can operate by hand up forward up there, and they moved a little lever back here so you can actually control that. As you can see, it's tied in up there. That's really nice. However, my buddy Jack ran into a situation. He had the tractor off and he was hooking up something, but he needed to lower it down. He lowered this down and promptly lowered it down onto his foot. It was a big old bush hog, much like this, and pinned himself. So you have to be careful having this here. You got to make sure you're cognizant of where everything's going on. As you can see, he has these remotes right here tied into the back. This is actually for Mr. Robert's front end loader where he has the grapple. And he controls the grapple with one of these blue or green levers right here. I forgot which one it is, but one of them is spring loaded, and that's how he controls his grapple in the front. And so run from the rear to this setup right here. Any tractor that has rear remotes, that's a quick and easy way to tie in for your grapple if you didn't want to put a third function on the front portion there, which I actually like using rear remotes. Just like on most tractors nowadays, it has these arms. You press this down, you can pull it out. It gives you a little more freedom of maneuverability whenever you're trying to load on a 3-point hitch. I don't know what these things are called, but I will never buy a tractor again that doesn't have those on there. It's really functional just for that fine-tuning adjustment. So again, you press this down, you press this down, and then it lifts up the pin right here, and it gives you just a couple inches that you can adjust this right here when you're trying to get onto one of your pieces of equipment on the back. Something I absolutely love is the fact that they added a rear light. A rear light is probably the best thing you could do if you're working low light conditions or at nighttime and everything. You're trying to attach something back here or trying to watch something that you're doing. That rear light is amazing. That's a quick, easy, simple thing to do, but that's huge. Also, I don't know of any other tractor that has this. Look at that. That's a pin connector. Or if you wanted to put a trailer or something on there, I really like that too. I mean, there's some fancy stuff that's thrown into this tractor, and I really do appreciate the time and effort they put into that. The brake lights on this tractor are great. Whenever you're maneuvering everything, a lot of times if you don't have a rear light, like on my tractor, I'll have the brakes on, and that's how I'm looking when I'm going in reverse. But the brake lights on here work great. All the indicators are really simple. I mean, it doesn't get much more simpler than this. So it's a metal freaking bracket that goes onto a light that's got metal bushings on it. I really like that because I recently broke off my light on my tractor because it's plastic, and I hit it with a branch, and what do you know, branch one, plastic loss. Toolbox on the back here, this little toolbox here, they're all winky dink. I think toolboxes on the back from the manufacturer are pretty winky dink, but it has enough room to keep the essentials that you need. More pins, more, whatever's you need, it's all good. But I just wish they could do something a little more than just like a literally cheaper than my son's lunchbox. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and hop up on here. This tractor also has a step on either side, so you can get on this tractor either way. It is a little more difficult with the front end loader controls on that side, but I like how they have the step. Again, it's a rather large step. I don't know the exact height. I'm gonna approximate 22 inches high. That's probably close. So when you're getting up, again, I'm a pretty big dude. I like how they put the rubber mat down below. Rubber mat down below keeps all that dirt and grime, everything from getting down to the metal plate and scratching up everything. And this rubber mat also has edges on it. So the edges on it will keep, stuff from getting stuck in there. When sitting down, this tractor, the cockpit is a little bit tighter than my Massey Ferguson. Now, I've got the seat all the way back. So again, I am 6'4" and 310 pounds. But as you can see, my knee does hit on the throttle right here, but it's not too bad. Actually, this is a telescoping or adjustable column here for steering. I'm not going to adjust it, but I believe, you pull this out, this lever right here. So that is pretty nice. Mine is fixed on the Massey, and I'm totally cool with that. You have your ranges, your range selectors. You have 1, 2, neutral, 3, 4. Quite a bit of selection on range. I do like that. You've got your parking brake on this side, and that thing is very interesting, and I'll show you why here in a second once we crank this up. Your gear shifter, your gear shifter. This goes from forward, neutral, reverse. It's got a weird angle to it. and we'll talk about that here in a second too. It is kind of funky. The dash, it's a very simple dash and everything. Once you crank this up here in a second, we'll show that there's a lot of stuff that's on this dash. There's a lot of things you're watching. Again, it does have armrests on both sides, which is something that I'm not used to on any other tractor I've been on. These armrests do go up, so, but you do have armrests there, and I mean, I've kept them down for the past 2 weeks and they've been okay. And there's a couple other buttons and stuff here. There is no drink holder on this tractor, which is weird. So on my Massey, I've got a cup holder right here. This one here, you've got this little almost like ashtray box, but there is no cup holder anywhere on this tractor. So that's kind of weird. And that's something that would be, I would think would be standard, but I don't know. Again, when you're operating this front end loader, I keep my arm on here, right here, and it's just minute adjustments right here. On my Massey, my controls would be right here, which is not bad. It's just different. So let's go and crank this up. So the key down here on your right side, the dash, I mean, that's a lot of stuff on the dash. All right, so there she is cranked up. Very smooth sounding engine. This thing has a very powerful fan, and something else you can feel, I can feel right here air coming out. I can feel the wind coming out. When you're bush hogging a field, on my Massey tractor, I feel the air coming out right here, the heat coming across the engine. It burns my foot up. Bush hogging a lot with this, having it blow this hot air on you, I don't know how much I would like that. So yeah, we'll see. I have not run this thing with the bush hog on here for prolonged periods of time or anything like that, so I don't know how much heat would be blown across to you, but that is something you do feel. You do feel, I don't feel much, but I do feel a little bit of that air moving across. And that's something as simple as, you know, fit up, fit and finish or something like that, or yeah, it just, there is a gap there. That's a noticeable gap you can stick your finger through. Okay, a lot of safety features on this tractor. Right now you can see we have the parking brake indicator right here. If I put this into, you know, forward, it's gonna start beeping at me, but I'm like, why is it beeping at me? It's beeping at me because I have my parking brake on. Once you take that parking brake off, it will stop beeping. This tractor, if you engage the parking brake while you're in gear, it will say no. You do not want to do that. You put it in neutral, it goes out. But we're gonna show you another thing. So I'm gonna take the parking brake off. We're in neutral. I'm gonna turn off the tractor. It will not let you turn this tractor off in neutral without the parking brake set. So you set the parking brake and you're good to go. So the parking brake does depress the foot pedal right here. So you can depress the foot pedal, then pull it up more, or you can just straight pull it like that. So yeah, that's one thing. It will not let you put this tractor in neutral and turn it off without setting that parking brake. It'll just beep at you. All right, so let's crank her back up again. All right, park brake off. Let me lift up the front end loader. So again, very smooth, quick operations. I like how the front end loader works. It's very smooth. The rear, again, very fast, very smooth. Don't really hear anything on the tractor itself. Maneuverability, this tractor, let me take her down a gear. So you've got your shifter right here on the right side. Now this one here kind of spins around a bit. I don't know if there's a set screw or something that's missing there, but again, this tractor has been used. It's got 418 hours on it, but that's, you know, 418 hours later, you can show you some of the things that has happened. I will tell you that Mr.Robert absolutely loves this tractor, and I do enjoy using this tractor as well. But again, let's go ahead and shift. We are in, what gear are we in? All right, so there's neutral. We were in 4th gear. That's 3rd. That's 1st. That's 2nd. So let's be in 2nd gear. All right. We are going to show you some maneuverability here for driving. I have this dirt spot right here. We're gonna see how sharp can I turn. And we should be able to see our tire marks. Yeah. And then we're gonna measure, rough estimate what those tire marks are. I'm gonna do a couple little circles here. That's a pretty tight turning radius. All right. So again, the steering is very simple. That's one finger operation. I will say the steering on this tractor is very, very comfortable. So I'm gonna put her in park with the in neutral and the parking brake on. We're gonna look at the inside radius here. So as you can see, we have our circle made by the steering and everything. And I'm just gonna pace this off, putting my foot right here. We're gonna go to the same on the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and a little bit. So I'm gonna say roughly about 13-ish foot, maybe 13 and a half foot inside turning radius. Now to the outside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the dot. So not too bad. That's a pretty nice turning radius. I don't know how that compares to a John Deere or a Massey, but I will say the inside turning radius about 13 foot. The outside 24 foot. That's not too bad. So let's see, we're gonna get back on the tractor. I'm gonna show you some speeds. I will say this chair right here, it's like spring adjusted. I will say I sit lower on this tractor than I do on my Massey Ferguson. I wish it did sit a little bit higher, and I had the seat all the way back. It's a little bit tighter cockpit, but there are a few more comforts in here. The seat does have more maneuverability, so there's that, and there is more maneuverability with the steering wheel. But again, my knee does touch on the throttle, so I wish I had a little more space. I have a massive amount of room on my Massey Ferguson, and even on my dad's 4 Series John Deere, we have a lot of room on there. Because again, getting in here, I kind of have to put one hand here, move my leg through. Yeah, but it is what it is. Let me zoom this out a little bit. The foot throttle right here, very responsive. Also, you have your throttle right here as well. So, yeah, I got her all the way idle now. But I was keeping it a little bit higher just so I get my knee clearance, or maybe my knee hit that. It'll beep at you all the time. So let's go out back. We're ready to do some speed runs. So we are in 3rd range and 2nd gear. Let's go ahead and go to 4th range. That's got a very good distinctive feel when you shift that, so I like that. Let's go ahead and start in 1st gear. Ooh, this sucker is fast. I'm bottoming out the seat. I don't think I'll be able to get to beyond 1st gear or 2nd gear. That's 1st. There's 2nd. Oh, she's bouncy. There's 3rd. All right, this tractor is much faster than my Massey Ferguson, so you have a lot more range on your gears. This would be good for traveling down the road. I'm gonna bounce myself to death doing that. I am not doing that anymore. So she's fast, she's real fast. There's 3rd, there's neutral, there's 2nd or 1st. Actually, that's 2nd right there. Let's see what a 1st gear feels like. 1st. There we go. There, she's in gear. There's your granny low. That's pulling speed right there. If you need to pull a stump out, this is the speed to do it at. So there's 1st. There's 2nd. third. There's fourth. Fourth would be a slow walking pace. Let's go back down to first gear. So we're back in first gear here. Let's go to second range. There we go. Sometimes you gotta like gently let the clutch out just a little bit to get her in there. All right, so that's a slow walking pace, first gear. Second, third, fourth. Fourth would be about a medium walking pace. So second range, fourth gear is a medium walking pace. If you were doing some very precise movement of heavy stuff, that would be a very comfortable speed to work at. So now, let's go ahead and move her to, so there's neutral. Yep, nothing happens in neutral when you let the clutch or the clutch out. There's third. Yep. All right, let's go to first gear. First gear, third range is a fast walk. Second, third, fourth. That's a pretty good speed. That would be like that'd be a moderate, that'd be a slow jog, moderate jog. Probably a moderate jog right there. And then again, fourth, she fast. Let's see. I mean, fourth range, first gear. That's quick. That is really quick. So there's a lot of, it'll bounce you to death. There is a lot of range on your gears here. So let me go back to third. I do like, there's a definite feel for when you're in gear and stuff like that. There we go. Sometimes again you still have to use that clutch to kind of slowly bring her into the actual gear. But yeah, that feels good. What else? Let's go lift something heavy. So give me a second, we'll go find something heavy to lift. Okay, so now we have this live oak log in front of us. Rough numbers, I'm gonna say this is about 1,800 pounds. Live oak is very dense, is very heavy. It's 1,800 to 2,000 pounds. I'm gonna be a conservative estimate of 1,800 pounds. Now, my buddy here has his homemade forks. These forks are homemade. They are non-movable forks. Like the forks, once you set it on there, they do not move left or right. So that's how the spacing we have. So let's bring her up to it. I want to show you some of the maneuverability at idle and stuff like that. So there we go. Now, one thing I'm just now noticing, here I am sitting in the tractor. This is my eye height. That's about comparable to what I'm seeing. This hood does not slope down, so you actually have a very large hood in front of you, and the brush guard is also in the way. So again, I'm at idle right now. Let me put her in neutral. Idle and neutral and everything. And we're gonna just go ahead and lift up at idle. That's as fast as she will lift at idle. We're gonna see. I don't want to go too high because I don't want it to roll back on me. But I want to go ahead and lower that down. I'm going to take her all the way up to the max height. So there you go. That's max height with, say, 1,800 pounds on there. No problem. Let's see how well I can bring her down and adjust at the same time. Trying to do the two. That's pretty good. Okay, so we know how fast that was. Let's bring the RPM up to about 1,500-ish. That's normally what I operate my tractor. That's plenty plenty of speed, maneuvering. It feels good. And I like, again, those big tires. I like those. I think they look good. I think you could probably carry a little bit more weight because they are a wider, bigger tire. It's going to distribute it, especially if you're on some ground that is, say, soft or something like that. That'll give you a little more planting room, if you will, to hold yourself up on, say, soft ground and get things out. So I do like the bigger tires. That is one thing I will say I definitely like, are the larger tires. The engine is very smooth sounding. It's not crazy loud or anything like that. The throttle response is very controlled and smooth. It's not jerky. The hydraulics are nice and smooth. I like that. The steering on this thing is like a dream. The steering on this is really impressive. I'm very impressed with how they do the steering. And I'm trying to think what else. I mean, it's a great tractor. I think it's a pretty good tractor for the money. I don't have anything to do the PTO with, but the PTO on this one, operation is, it's on and it's off. And I have no way to look. Yep, I can see the little dash icon right here. It does not tell you, there's no PTO speeds or anything like that on the dash. So it's on and it's off. So there's that. But again, the way that this turns on is you press down and you turn it for on, and then just like my Master, this is the exact same as the Master Ferguson. And to turn it off, you just, if I hit it, there you go. You press it. So I like the fast turn off of the PTO. If you're ever in a situation, that's pretty nice. You've got your flashers here. You got a horn. That's interesting. You got your lights, and then you got, this is for your. It's kind of faded, but that looks like it's for your whatever you call it, diesel particulate filter. I don't know. It says auto. I don't actually know what that is. It's kind of faded. I can't really tell. This is for your regen cycle stuff here. And again, your functions right here, your remotes and everything. So if you have a grapple on there, you can use that. You have your lifting and lowering for your box plate on the back right there. Nice smooth operations. And you have whatever this is on the inside. I don't know what that does. I'll have to look what that one right there does. It shows me a picture. I'll have to find out. I don't know. And you've got appears to be something as well. Don't know what that is. You get your little ashtray thing, it looks like, but it's that's actually where I put my cell phone earlier. It's always dangerous though, because I knock things off the tractor all the time. I don't know what you put there. Something. But yeah, overall I like this tractor. Oh, for your four-wheel drive right here. So this, you lift up and you push down to engage or disengage your four-wheel drive. Exact same as many tractors that go into this. I like that. And then for your rear differential lock, right here, it's right next to the control arm for your shifters. You've got a lever that you can depress with the heel of your foot, and that locks your rear end. That's very common on most tractors. So overall, I am impressed with this LS tractor. There's safety at it again. Now I've got that engaged, but yeah, you have, oh, and of course your indicators here and everything. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, overall, it's a very nice tractor. I am a bit tight in here. The fact that my knee hits this throttle right here is not the most enjoyable. And the shifter here, it is at a weird angle. So you never know. It's hard to tell exactly what gear you're in. I'm in neutral right now, but if I'm putting it into gear, into drive's like straight out. Like this is going forward. It's straight out. That's neutral, and then that's reverse. So it's kind of weird that neutral is not there. I would expect that to be neutral, and then forward of that, or after that would be in gear forward or in gear in reverse. So that is kind of weird, and it takes me a while to get used to. Other than that, yeah, great tractor. If you have any questions, you can comment below and I'll ask Mr. Robert, but he's had this tractor for a couple years now, His wife got it for him a few years back as a surprise, and he loves his tractor. And I am very blessed to have known Mr. Robert, and he's awesome for letting me have used this for 2 weeks. But now that I have 2 weeks of usage of this tractor, loading logs onto my sawmill and cleaning up around the property here. I've also used a finishing mower with this tractor before to mow his property, and we've also used a baler and stuff with it. So very versatile tractor, very economical tractor that has a lot of features, and it's a neat brand. I'm pretty impressed with LS's. My buddy Jack has the 40 series one, pretty much like that tractor as well. So I've seen the 40 horsepower, the 45 horsepower, and they both can lift about the same. I don't see any difference between the two. I've driven both of them. I'm very happy with them. So again, hope you enjoyed this review. Maybe it helps someone to say, is this a tractor for them? But if I was down to it and needed a tractor, this would be on my list. I love my Massey Ferguson, but this one right here is pretty much comparable. The only downside for me though is the cockpit. There's just not as much space for me. But again, it's nothing that I can't live without. I could totally live. I could totally live with it if I had to have it. But it just, my knees, you know, being tall and everything, that is a little bit of a pressure point right there where it hits. That is not very comfortable. But again, just move it right there and it'll be fine. See. So yeah, that's really my biggest complaint is that. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this. Please like, subscribe. We'll see you around. Thanks.